I just spent 100 hours deep diving into Maltbot. Let me explain why people are excited about it and what does it actually do. Most AI tools just assist and they just ask you questions. Maltbot acts and takes actions for you. Imagine you explaining a goal and then it actually just does it for you. Imagine you just had a meeting with Bob and you had the AI notes taken, and while you're out and about, you thought of a great idea. You can message Maltbot from your phone, tell it to look for the meeting notes you just had with Bob, look at what the action items are, supplement it with some research, generate a draft deck, and then send it back to Bob. And somehow remember who Bob is from your previous history. And that's what Maltbot can do for you. It's basically an AI agent that has full control of your computer. So it can access the browser, your folders, your files, and do all these things you can do on a computer for you. It doesn't stop at suggestions. It actually acts. If ChatGPT was a brain, Maltbot is that brain with hands and a keyboard. This is what we're going to be covering in this video. We're going to go through how to set up and install Maltbot, how to run it on a VPS, on an external server if you choose to do that, and the options that you have to setting up your models and providers. We're going to go through the web UI, the terminal, and also the desktop app and show you how it works. And the most important part is I'm going to show you how I use it with skills and cron jobs and heartbeats. Then we're going to finish off with some security stuff on how to make sure your Maltbot is as secure as it can be. To install Clawdbot, you come to the website Clawd.bot and you can choose your device. If you're using a Mac, you can just copy this command. If you're using Windows, you can click change and choose Windows and then copy this. I'm using a Mac, so I'm just going to copy this. Next thing you need to do is go to your terminal, and you can open your terminal, you can use that. But I like to use a tool called warp.dev, and it's basically an AI agent enabled terminal. So even if I encounter any problems, it will solve it for me. So I can just copy and paste that command and I just hit enter. So it'll need Homebrew, Node, and Git. And if you encounter problems inside warp.dev, it'll help you guide you through that process as well. And once it's done, then it will say installed successfully. The next thing you should do is come to the docs.clawd.bot start/wizard. And the wizard helps you get started. I'm going to go Clawdbot onboard, copy this command, go back to my terminal and then click, and then it gives you a security notice. So you say, yes, I understand. Generally, I would pick quick start unless you're very familiar with how to set up a server. And then here you can choose which provider you use. I'm using OpenAI, but I also use Google. So let's try connecting to Google, and you can either plug in your API key. If you have anti-gravity, you can choose that. I'm going to select Google Gemini CLI auth, and it's going to go back to my account. All I need to do is click here, and once it's signed in, it's complete, I go back. I'm going back into my terminal, and then I can use the model that I want. I'm going to choose Flash Preview because a lot of the tasks I'm doing are just basic business tasks. So I don't need the top model and consume all my tokens. So I'm just going to choose Flash Preview. Now you can choose Pro if you want the best results and you have a lot of tokens to burn. And here I can choose the channel I want to connect with. And I personally use WhatsApp, so I'm going to choose WhatsApp. For WhatsApp, I need to connect via a QR code, and then you'll have to enter your telephone number, and then we'll use that telephone number for verification. And then just choose NPM for your skills. If you have some already, I've already set some skills. And then you can install the dependencies. Now, if you want to give it password access, you can link it to your 1Password. You can have it linked to your Apple Notes, your reminders, and you can go through each of them, and they all have a lot of cool things that each of them do, and it explains what it actually does. I'm not going to enable all of them because you can go back in and enable them later. Okay, so once you've selected the skills that you want, just press enter, and don't worry, you can skip all of it now and enable it later if you wish. It's now asking me to set API keys, and I'm just going to leave that out for now because you can input that later. And you need to install your gateway, and the gateway is basically setting up the server so then you can connect to it and start talking to Clawdbot. How do you want to hatch your bot? So there's 3 options: hatch in TUI. TUI means terminal user interface. So I can have a chat in this terminal if I wish, but I like the web UI, so I'm going to open the web UI, and it's going to open an interface for me on my browser. and it says 127.00. So this is running locally on my machine, and I can connect to it via a web interface. Now, I've cheated a little because I've already installed this. So I already have some text in there. For you, it should be blank, and now it's complete. And that's how you install Clawdbot. Now we're gonna look into how we can use Clawdbot if you're a fan of the terminal. So we'll use the terminal user interface, and all you need to do is go Clawdbot TUI, and there you go. You can start chatting away like you would using the web interface, and it'll work just like the web dashboard. The nice thing about it is that it will actually show you how many tokens you have left. So if you're very token conscious, this is a good way to see your token usage as well, and you can see the model that you're using. Now, usually the TUI gives you more options than the dashboard. And so if you press the / command, you'll be able to see a lot of options: status, agents, sessions, model. So I can set my model if I want, easily choose the one I want. And there's a ton of models I can choose from. And there's a lot of options here. So in a later section, I'll cover what these options do, and that's how you use the TUI. Now we're gonna cover how to use the desktop app. If you're using a Mac, there's a Mac OS app available. Just click on it, download it, and then once you've installed it, you'll be greeted with this. So it's got a security notice, choose your gateway, wizard complete, and there's a lot of things I can grant. I think giving it notifications is good, microphone is good. And once it's installed, you can just go to the top bar here and click on that, and you'll be able to chat with it anytime you want. Now that I've shown you how to install Moltbot in your terminal, in the web browser, and on your Mac desktop, I'm going to show you how to connect to WhatsApp and Telegram and control your Moltbot remotely. I'm going to show you how to connect to WhatsApp. I realized because I already set it up once, it didn't show me the process to connect WhatsApp, so I'll show you again. I now come to channels, and it's got WhatsApp, and all you need to do is to scan your QR code to connect to your WhatsApp. So here you see my WhatsApp, and I need to click on link devices, and I click link a device, and then you should point your camera and scan the QR code on the screen. Once it's scanned, it should show up as Clawdbot, and then you should see a message from yourself. A small issue I noticed with WhatsApp is that if I turned off my server or my computer and then I turn it back on, I would lose the WhatsApp connection, and then I would need to relink it again. So channels that use API instead of like a QR pairing allows you to reconnect without relinking, even though you turned off your server. So Telegram, Discord, Slack, those are better channels if you envision yourself turning the server off every now and then. I'm going to quickly show you how to connect Clawdbot to Telegram. All you need to do is open a chat with BotFather, enter /new bot, give it a name, and then I'll get an access token. So copy the token, and then you can paste it into your Clawdbot when you're setting up, or if you're like me, you're changing after you install it. You can just say, I want to change to Clawdbot. I've just shown you how to install Moltbot locally on your own computer. Now we're going to dive into how to set up Moltbot on a virtual private server on a separate server so it's more secure. Moltbot is powerful, but because of all the power you're entrusting it with, it is not recommended that you run on your local computer, because if someone hacks it, it could be disastrous. So highly recommended you run it on a virtual private server. You have it running on a separate machine with its own email and passwords. So the off chance it gets hacked, damage is minimized. Luckily, there are a lot of free options out there. So there's basically two major routes. You have your normal free options like Oracle, AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure. And they all offer a free tier, but the problem is you still need to set it up. It just gives you a blank machine and you have to SSH and you have to learn how to use the terminal to set this up. But it's free. There's a second option, which is they have these templates where you click one button and you can deploy. And so Zeabur and Railway are a good example of that. And with Zeabur, you actually get $5 credits every month, and that should cover your cost. So it's also free. So I'm going to demo how to use Zeabur, and in my opinion, is the easiest way to install Moltbot. I just want to do a quick comparison of running Moltbot on your computer and a VPS server. If you run it locally, there's a higher risk, but the advantage is it's free of charge. But the biggest problem I notice is that if you are running Maltbot through your Telegram or WhatsApp. If your computer shuts off, then it doesn't work anymore. With a VPS, it's running 24/7, so you can always get it to work and you can have it run background tests at night. So that's the advantage. You have more security, it's safe, but the downside is you have to pay. But the key point I want to point out is the mobile phone access. Especially with WhatsApp, when I turn it off and turn it back on, it disconnects and I have to reconnect it again. Super annoying. So running Maltbot on a VPS is the best option. Now there's another option though. Other than running locally and through a VPS, you can also have it run on another computer that's not your main laptop. And here I have a little Jetson Nano, and it doesn't have to be super powerful. And it basically, I can run it on this and have Maltbot separate from my main daily use computer. And this cost me about $200-300 US, but you can get a cheaper one. I know a lot of people are talking about buying a Mac Mini to run Clawdbot because running Clawdbot on your own computer is very unsafe. But you don't need a Mac Mini. You can just get any server with minimal spec to run your Clawdbot 24/7. I'm going to teach you the easiest way to do it, and it's through a website called Zeabur, Zeabur. Once you come in, you can click on New Project. If you want to go free, you can use Shared Cluster, and then I'm going to choose Tokyo, and then I'm going to choose this free trial cluster, and I'm going to choose Silicon Valley, Create Project, Deploy New Service, choose Template. I'm going to choose Clawdbot, Deploy, and then give it a name, and then I'm going to put in my OpenAI key, and now it's working its magic, and give it a sec to let it run. Okay, now it's running, and so let's go in and see how it's working. So I'm getting this unauthorized gateway token missing issue. So all I need to do is come in here and copy this, plug into the gateway token, connect, and we're in business. Okay, then I'm going to go to chat, and let's give a test. What's the weather in CRON today? And it's replying, can get the weather. I probably need to install a tool, but it's working. Now, setting up Clawdbot on a remote server is no easy task. It's much harder than installing it locally on your computer. So a couple things you need to check. Number one, you want to check that your health status is okay. What I realize is most of the time is your gateway token not being inputted in there. So make sure you put that in, connect, and make sure it works. Another thing you have to be aware of, if you're like me and you're subscribed to a monthly plan, you cannot use that. You have to use an API just because it's difficult to authenticate using OAuth on a server, but that might change. And this interface sucks. So what you need to do is come down here and come down to raw, and you need to change your JSON file to refer to the model and agent that you're using. You can ask AI to help you to figure out what you need to put in and put in your API key. Then you'll be able to chat with Clawdbot. Another way to debug is you can come back to the Zeabur main page and you can go to command line and you can go Claude UI. And basically from here, you can do a lot of things. You can chat in there and fix a lot of issues from the TUI, the terminal interface. And start typing, you can add the slash command and you can do a bunch of stuff to help you debug your issues. I think Zeabur is the easiest one to set up. And if you follow my instructions, you'll basically be running it for free as well because you get $5 credits every month. And I'll provide a referral link in the description so you can get extra credits too. And you should be running this for free as well. I just think that this is easier than AWS to run your Clawdbot on. Because Zeabur does all the work for you, it basically skips the tutorial. So if you want to use your monthly credits instead of the API key for your Gemini and OpenAI subscription, you'll need to run the onboarding wizard one more time. And from there, it has a plugin to allow you to log in using OAuth. And you need to do that inside the commands. Or you can run it on AWS and run the onboarding wizard from scratch so you have more control. You can ask Clawdbot to control your browser for you. And in order to do that, you need to install the Chrome extension. So what's the first thing you need to do? You need to copy this command, Maltbot browser extension install, come into your terminal, and then just enter and paste your Clawdbot browser install, right? So I was still using Clawdbot at the time to change names. So It could be Maltbot or it could be Clawdbot. And once you've entered the command, you'll need to follow the instructions here, which is go to Chrome extensions, enable developer mode, and then load unpacked, and then select the extension to install it. So let me show you how. Copy this Chrome extensions, and then in your Chrome browser, just paste it, and you will be greeted with a page that looks like this. Then you need to enable developer mode on the top, load unpacked, and then you need to go to this folder. And on Mac, if you go to your folder, you won't be able to see the folder because it's hidden. So you press Shift Command period, then you'll see the hidden files. And here I see Clawdbot, and I go in, browser, Chrome extension, and I just select that. And once you select it, you'll be greeted with this. And for it to show up, you got to come to the top right, and I'm gonna pin it so then you can see the browser relay here. And when you use it, you got to turn it on, and this little thing will show up. That means Clawdbot has control and access to your browser. So let me demo what you can do with it. Okay, first thing I need to do is turn on the relay. It's on. Then I give it a command, and what I'm trying to do is generate some images in Gemini. And it's done its thing, and it's generated these images for me based on my request. So it's taking control of my browser and doing stuff for me inside the browser. One of the more useful capabilities is to enable web search in Maltbot, and you can do that by using this Brave Search API. Go to brave.com/search/API and sign up for an account. You can get a free account and just subscribe, and then go to API keys and generate an API key. I'm gonna call it Maltbot. I'm gonna copy the key, and then what do? Well, you need to come into your terminal, and once inside the terminal, you need to use this command Clawdbot configure section web, and then you choose local or remote. I'm choosing local, and then you enable web search. Yes. I'm gonna paste in my key, enable web fetch. Yes. And now it's got web search enabled. Let's see what we can do with it. Can you search the internet for what's new with Maltbot? And then let's see what it comes back with. Okay, and it's used the web search tool, and it's gone around and looked for some stuff, and it says here are the key findings, and you've got web search enabled, and now you can do a lot of research using Maltbot. Now we come into one of my favorite things, which is skills. And why do you want skills? Well, basically, if you have anything that you repeatedly prompt and you use it all the time, you should turn it into a skill. And it comes with a lot of pre-built skills. You can just click a button here to disable and enable. This is all great and good, but I want to show you the capability of building your own custom skill. Okay, one of the skills I have is to turn my transcript of my videos into a YouTube description. You can see that I have a YouTube description generator, and then I just paste in my transcript, and it's using my skill, and it's built me this really cool YouTube description. Now let's try to build a new skill. Can you build a skill for me that generates viral YouTube titles? Give me 3 to 5 different titles that I can choose based on the transcript that I provide. The titles need to be less than 55 characters. Here is my transcript. And it's given me 5 titles I can choose. How to install Clawdbot, stop babysitting AI, Clawdbot setup. So these are the 5 titles it's given me, and now it's given me a skill that I can reuse. Now you might think, oh, why do I need a skill? I can just type this in every time. Well, if I have multiple skills, then I can string them together. So next time I put in my transcript, it can use the title generator to give me a title. It can use the description skill to give me a description, and I can link 3 or 4 more skills. And then all of a sudden, I don't need to type in what I typed in the beginning, which is, can you give me 3 to 5 different titles? It has to be 55 characters, and type a whole bunch of stuff every time. The skill remembers my prompts, and it just gives me what I need all together. So that's how you build new skills in Clawdbot. Let's say you want to get Clawdbot to control your Google Calendar and your emails. If you come inside skills, this is a very useful skill called Google Workspace CLI for Gmail, Calendar, Drive, and Sheets. You need to click on install Google and just wait for it to happen. Okay, once you have it installed, then you need to set up your Google. So you need to come to console.cloud.google.com. You need to set up a new project. give it a name, and then you need to click on APIs and services. And then you got to enable all the things you want Clawdbot to have access to. So let's say I want access to Google Calendar. Then I need to enable the Google Calendar API. If I want email, I need to set up the email, click enable, and as you can see, I've already enabled it. Once you have that, you need to go to credentials. Then you need to create a new credential, client ID, and then I have a desktop app, give it a name, click create, and then you will have your secrets that you can copy and then authorize on your computer so it can access Google Calendar, Gmail, whatever you have enabled through Google Cloud Services. So the command you need to run is this: Google auth login, client ID, client secret, and your scopes. Okay, once you plug in the command, you should be granted with this page. And then I'm going to give Clawdbot access. And now I'm connected. Now let's go back to Claude and give it a try. Can you add a calendar event for Thursday 11 to 1 p.m. to pick up my hard disk? Okay, and it successfully created it. So let's go to Google Calendar. And it says 11 to 1 p.m. pick up hard disk. So it's got full control of my calendar right now. And this is going to be useful if you want to have it read all your emails and filter it and reply. You can do that using this Google skill. Do you have a lot of tasks in your brain and you just want to brain dump it somewhere and organize it? Well, I use a Kanban board. And I'm going to show you how I use Clawdbot to help me manage all the tasks that I have. Okay, so I'm going to brain dump a bunch of tasks. And Clawdbot is going to be smart enough to add this to my Kanban board. I have a bunch of tasks I want you to help me to add to Linear. Can you help dissect this brain dump of mine and then add it? I need to create a customized Pokemon card for my wife for Valentine's Day. I need to start planning the slides for my AI course. And I need to set up an automatic system to auto code some of the new features for my products. Okay, and then it's asked me for clarification, so let's put it in. Just put it into my to-do list. There are no timelines for them yet, and the priority is kind of low. For the Pokemon cards, I need to collect a bunch of pictures. For the slides, I need to prepare material, and then so I'll need some preparation for that. And then for the auto coding system, it's just like a system where it will take a feature that I have in mind and then implement it, and I'll provide more details later. Okay, and it's done. So let's go back in and check, and you can see that it's been added. My Van Den Pokemon card, AI core slides, and I can go in and it's like collect reference photos. So it's filled in all these tasks for me, and so I just like split out all the things I need to do, and it's in my Kanban board. And so I can use this for coding as well. I can list out all the features I want. And so how do you do this in Clawdbot? All right, so this is how it works. Because I use Linear app, which is a Kanban board project management tool, as external service. How does it communicate with my computer? So it communicates through an API. And usually I do it through an MCP, because an MCP allows my AI to talk to an external service. And inside Clawdbot, there's a skill called MC Porter. And I at first thought, great, you can install MCPs in your Maltbot. And in theory, MC Porter allows you to use all the skills that you've used in Claude and OpenAI, recognize it, and then you can use it. But after spending 4 or 5 hours struggling, I realized it's really hard. It's really complicated. And the best way to do it is actually through Maltbot skills. You can go to Claude Hub or Malt Hub now and do that. But right now, that website is down, and I'm using this awesome Maltbot skills GitHub repo. And inside, there's a lot of skills in here. And I just searched for linear, and it's got this linear skill. You can click on it, you can take a look. And if you look at the code, it's got all this coded in. And all I need to do is basically change the API token, and it will start working. And this is the easiest way that I found after struggling 4 or 5 hours trying to make this work using an MCP. And it's got a ton of skills, and it should cover most use cases. Now, how do you use this? Well, right now, if you just use npx Claude Hub at latest and install the skill, so I put in linear IS, it should work, but Claude Hub is down. So I'm doing the manual installation. And how do you do that? It's really simple. You just come to your Claude folder, and there's a skills folder, and then you create a folder, and then you just copy that skill. So you copy this skill.md file into the skill.md. And you got to have a folder that is named that. And then once you're inside, just change the API key. If you don't want to do it manually, it's very simple. Just go back to Warp, and then you can say, I just want to install this skill, copy the link, and then inside warp.dev, the agent should be smart enough to copy the skill into the folder, and then that's step 1. Now, step 2 is that after you installed it, it may not work immediately. So after you install the skill, your Clawdbot may not recognize it completely. So you need to run Maltbot or Clawdbot gateway restart. That way it will recognize the file. And then after you run this command, you can come back in and your skill should run. And so there's a ton of stuff you can add, and these skills are super powerful. Another cool feature Clawdbot has are what are called CRON jobs. So these are jobs that can run in the background on a regular schedule. So every week, every day, every night. Why would you use this? Well, let me give you an example. I like to analyze my YouTube data to see how I can improve and get more subscribers and views. And instead of just going to the dashboard and just looking at a lot of metrics, I ask AI to analyze it for me. So I say, can you analyze my YouTube data? And it runs a Python script that checks all my data, retrieves the data from YouTube, and then it gives me some highlights, but most importantly, recommendations on what I can do to improve my channel. And here it says, OpenCode is doing really well. I should do more OpenCode videos. My retention is not looking good. So work on the first 15 seconds. So these are good recommendations. I don't need to purposely call Maltbot to run it every time. I've scheduled it to run every single week on a Sunday at noon. And then it gives me a report. So I'll get a message on my WhatsApp or Telegram with recommendations on how to improve my YouTube. So if you have a lot of reports or things that you want to do on a weekly basis, you can schedule a cron job. So I have several apps on the App Store that's generating revenue. One is a health data export app that allows you to export your health data to analyze using AI. And I have a looks maxing app where you take a photo and it gives you a score and see how you can improve your looks. And I wanted to basically grab the sales report every week in the analytics and see if there's any areas I can improve on for my apps. So let's try to build that. I have multiple apps on the iOS App Store. I want to build a cron job where it retrieves the data from the App Store Connect, and then it gives me an analysis on how I can improve my revenue, where it retrieves the data and then it analyzes and it compares my sales from previous week to this week. And then it also suggests areas for improvements or notifies me if there's anything I need to fix to improve the sales. And in order to retrieve this data, it needs me to do some private keys and fill in my key ID, issue ID. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll check back in when I put it in. All right, so I put in all the credentials and all the keys to my new cron job, and I basically say, can you run the App Store Analytics cron job? Okay, so it's done, and the cron job is completed, and it says my sales dropped, my impressions dropped, but my conversion rate went up, and that's good because I changed some of the screenshots, and it's giving me some suggestions on how to improve. And now if I go into cron jobs, you'll see that I have 2 cron jobs, one for YouTube, one for my App Store Analytics, and this will run on a regular schedule, and that's how you set up cron jobs. Now that I've shown you cron jobs, I want to explain another idea to you, which is heartbeats. What's the difference between heartbeats and cron jobs? They sound technical, but the difference is actually really simple. Cron equals fixed schedule. Think of cron like an alarm clock. It goes off at a specific time, no matter what. Every day at 9 a.m., every Friday at 5 p.m. When the alarm rings, Maltbot runs the tasks you told it to run. So you can have weekly reports generated, which are demonstrated. You can back up files nightly. It runs no matter what. Heartbeat equals periodic check-ins with judgment. Heartbeat is different. Heartbeat is like having an assistant who checks in regularly and only bothers you when something actually matters. So instead of do this at 9 a.m., it's more like every 15 minutes, look at my inbox and only message me if there's something important, or monitor for website changes, or alert me when something happens. It only notifies you when it's needed. Okay, so how do you set up heartbeats? First, you got to go to your Claude folder, and then you find your heartbeat.md, open it in the text editor, And then initially it's blank. And so here I've added check email for urgent messages, review calendar for events next 2 hours. If idle, send me a message, and a background task complete, summarize results. And so this is what I've added. And then let's check in on what it does. It was checked periodically, and it says it's checked my email, but there's nothing important. Great. And it's found in my calendar that I have to pick up my hard disk in 2 hours time. So that's really useful. And so that's what Heartbeat does. It'll check your stuff and then notify you when needed. And since we talked about Heartbeat, we can't not talk about the Soul.md file. So it's in the same folder, and you can open the Soul.md. Basically, this is the personality of your Clawdbot and the boundaries written in plain English. So every time Clawdbot opens up, it reads this file and it says, be genuinely helpful, have opinions, be resourceful, things stay private. So you can change this. When you did the setup, you can ask it to be funny, you can be, more direct. And then I've added some more rules to it because I'm more of like an engineer and I need a chief of staff. So I'm telling it what it should act like. You should be an AI chief of staff and speak like an engineer, clarify questions, never delete all my files. And so it's just useful to set these boundaries, and it's quite fun. If you wanted to be a comedian, you can go into AI and say, hey, I want to modify my soul to be more funny. You can do that too. So worth a look into. Let's talk about security. Maltbot can read files, run shell commands, control your browser, send messages. That means if someone gets access to your gateway, they basically get access to your computer. I'm not just saying this to scare you. Security researchers have found over 1,000 Maltbot gateways exposed on the internet, and some of them have no authentication. API keys are leaked, chat history is exposed, Telegram tokens stolen. I'm no security expert, but there are some quick fixes to lock things down properly that you can implement. Okay, I'm not a security expert, but there's a couple things you can do. So you can run this Clawdbot security audit deep in your terminal, and it will tell you if there's any critical issues you need to fix. And right now, I don't have any critical issues, so that's good. So that's one quick way of improving your security. A second command you can run is Clawdbot config set gateway.auth.true. And basically, gateway is the command center of your Maltbot, and you reset authentication. So the second thing is you want to check that your gateway has authentication. So run Clawdbot config get gateway, and just check that your mode is on and you have authentication on. And then the last thing you want to do is to kind of lock your permissions of your files. And so you can have this command and run it and modify the permissions of your files. And I'll provide all of this in the description so you can download it. But these are just quick fixes that will close your most major loopholes. If you want to do more, you can install Tailscale and create a tunnel between your devices to your server. I would highly encourage you to chat with Clawdbot and see how you can improve the security of your Clawdbot server. And here's my honest take on Maltbot after spending 100 hours using it. It's extremely powerful. You can automate files, generate reports, research things for you, and even run it on your phone while you're outside. That part is genuinely impressive, but it's not easy to use at all. Before Maltbot, I was already doing most of these things. I use Claude Code, OpenAI Codex, Perplexity Comment Browser. I know how to wire APIs together. I use MCPs, and actually vibe coded my own personal chief of staff that's faster, safer, uses less tokens, and is tailored to me. What Maltbot does is put all of that into one platform, one agent, one gateway, one place to talk to your computer. And that's the real value of Maltbot. So here are my pros and cons. It's definitely not easy to set up. It uses a lot of tokens. It's actually slower than some of the other tools I'm using. Huge security risk. And because it's a new and open source product, some of the edge cases are just like really hard to deal with. But having said that, I'm thoroughly impressed by Maltbot. It's one tool that does everything. I love that you can control it from your phone. Super powerful when you integrate it with the skills. And because so many people are using it, I think it's going to grow really fast. So it's not for an absolute beginner to use this because it's a beast. If you're really hardcore, then you might as well just vibe code your own product tailored to yourself without a lot of features that you never use. And if you work in a corporate environment, definitely don't use this because the security risks are just too much. It's best for intermediate users who know how to prompt, how to set up VPS, but not quite there in terms of vibe coding. You don't want to learn 5 different tools and just have one place that does everything for you. And I'm going to leave with this, is that I'm still going to use it because I really think this is the future, because I've already built my own personal chief of staff agent vibe coding. And I think Maltbot will get much better over time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It'll help me a lot. If you want to learn more about AI, you can join my free AI community in the description. If you've tried Maltbot yourself, I'm curious about how you're finding it. Please share your experience in the comments. See you in my community.